And welcome to this episode of Dead Last, the show where we rate all of your favorite horror movies. And today is actually my birthday. So we are having a little bit of a birthday party, and we're ranking my all-time favorite film and its sequels with the Jaws series and some other similar giant shark movies. And as always, I should note that when I say we rank, I mean a group of people consisting of me, my panel, and my patrons on patreon.com who all submitted rankings to me, rating the films from number 1 being the best to dead last being the worst. And if, let's face it, if the original Jaws isn't number 1, I swear to Cthulhu that I will riot. I will kill every person I see. So those scores then are just added up to give the film its total, and there was 23 people that sent in rankings for this episode, and here are the patrons who participated. So keep in mind that the lowest score that a film can get in this episode is 23 points. That would be if everybody ranked it number 1, and that would be the highest score. And the lowest score that it could get, the worst that it could be, is 230 points. That's just if every single person ranked a film dead last. So, and let's check out my panel for this episode, because this is a very special panel, and that it's my birthday. We're having a little birthday party, and I have invited some of my closest friends, and we have the long-awaited return of my wife, Christy. Welcome back to the show, Christy.
Hi, happy birthday.
Thank you. Yes, you might be wondering why we are separate on my birthday, but we are not. Christy's literally upstairs, and you're on a project right now with Bruce Campbell.
I am.
So Christy's working with Bruce Campbell every day. So just know that that's why she's not on Dead Last, because of that. But we're happy to have you back and talking about sharks.
Thanks.
Also is another semi-familiar guest. If you've actually been watching the show, we have one of my oldest friends, not just in terms of age, but just we've been friends the longest. It's Jeremy. Welcome to the show, Jeremy. Sort of, because you've made appearances. You actually were a tiebreaker in one of the episodes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
At 13th.
Yes, yeah. The very first episode of Dead Last, Jeremy was a tiebreaker. But welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Jeremy, a couple of things that you guys need to check out as well, too. Jeremy makes some fantastic T-shirts. I'm not wearing one of his shirts today because I'm doing my Jaws shirt. But he actually does some really cool pop culture T-shirts, which are simulations of brands in movies as if they were made a T-shirt in real life. And there's some really, really cool stuff on there. I'll let you explain it maybe a little bit better than me.
It's called Secretly Geeky. You can find me on Redbubble. And basically how I do it is as if I make the shirt as if like you're an extra wearing it on the show, movie, whatever. So it's a lot of fictional businesses or things that you might see in whatever TV show, movie. And if you don't see something up there that you would like, shoot me a message and I'll try making it.
And also, Jeremy makes movies as well, too. You have a very bizarre movie, a very fun movie that you made during quarantine, which Jeremy did a whole thing where he did a short quarantine film every single day, and then made a feature-length movie called Crossover, which is pretty wild.
You could say that.
And finally on my panel, for the first time on the show, for the first time on the channel whatsoever. No, not the first time on the channel whatsoever. It is actually my first friend from Los Angeles, Jim. Welcome to Dead Last.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Jim actually made an appearance on the Predator timeline, doing an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice.
Get to the chopper.
Oh, it's good. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me.
No problem. I'm glad to have you here on my birthday, which I should say it's not my birthday when we filmed this, but this episode will go up on my birthday. So, and we will probably be at an actual birthday party between some point between then and now. But regardless, Jim also is a content creator.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So Josh and I met on Craigslist quite a few years ago.
Not Craigslist, it was Mandy. We met on Mandy.
Craigslist just sounds sketchier, so I like to say that one. But yeah, we worked on a ton of these sort of weird law school industrial educational videos that I've been producing for quite a long time.
One of my jobs is to make sure that all of our new employees fill out the same paperwork. It's important that we have their full and accurate information.
But my page, my personal page, was just J. Cliffy Huff. Is more about just like fun little videos, just about kind of being a dad and wellness and health and fitness and all that sort of boring stuff. But I find that during the pandemic, the one thing I've had a lot more time than I thought I would have is to focus on being a dad. And so it's been a lot of fun. The one silver lining in this whole lockdown. So I just started making little videos just sort of about our exploits and the things we're doing. And so those have been fun. And so please come check them out, because it's, I spent a lot of time editing them, even though they seem dumb. They take forever.
I just realized that I always correct when you say Craigslist and make sure that people know that it's Mandy. But if you don't know what the hell Mandy.com is, it actually sounds creepier.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Without further ado, let's get to these rankings, because I will say straight up right now, without a doubt, I have never disagreed with a list more than I have disagreed with where a lot of these rankings showed up. Starting with our dead last ranking right now. Again, keep in mind that the highest score that a movie can get is 230 points. So at dead last with 183 points is Jaws: The Revenge. Jaws 4. It was ranked dead last 12 times, and its lowest ranking that it did get 4th place 3 times. And on this panel, the only one of us ranked it as dead last, which would actually be Jim down there. I gave it your dead last. Jeremy, you ranked it higher up, 7th place. Christy, you gave it 6th place, and I actually had it ranked the highest with 5th place. But Jim, I gotta know, you ranked this as your dead last. What is about Jaws: The Revenge that you did not enjoy?
It just reeks of desperation. I feel like there was just so many things where I was like, oh man, this is barely watchable for me. There was production flaws, there were story flaws, there were acting flaws. You're like, just so many different things over and over again. And there's, every movie, all these movies have flaws, of course, but it was also one of the last ones I watched, and I was just like, I can barely get through it. So it just wasn't one for me. Even in a campy, like, I'm just watching this because it's campy and fun, but it's gory and it's scary. It just was like, it was so sad. It was just there was a lot of things so I just didn't like about it.
The funny thing is I almost agree with everything that you're saying, but I think because of all of that, it makes it an insanely fun movie to watch. I think this is one of the worst movies ever made. I think Jaws 4 is terrible. None of that really matters to me because I think it's hilarious. I think it's so much fun to watch because it's so terrible. There's no way to not laugh at Michael Caine just like drunkenly stumbling through half of his lines. There's no way to not laugh at Mario Van Peebles, who apparently just said, I'm not reading these lines on the script because this is too stupid, and just made up all of his dialogue as he went along. There's no way to not laugh at a roaring shark. I mean, not like it's hysterical to me. The shark blows up at the ending, and if you pause it, it's literally a tiny doll, and it's the funniest thing. I could watch this movie at any given time. There's a lot of these movies on this list that I would say are better movies than Jaws: The Revenge.
Yeah.
But if you gave me most of those movies in this one and said you have to rewatch one of these later tonight, I guarantee you I'm going to watch Jaws: The Revenge because it's just, I know that I'm going to laugh. It's just, I mean, I know that you're not normally watching a Jaws movie because you want to laugh, but I love it.
I mean, Jaws went to the Bahamas. Like, how couldn't you like that? I mean, what sense? Like, he was like, oh, okay, gotta go to the Bahamas now. It's like, swims down. nobody making that movie could take that serious.
Right.
Like, you know, it's just fun.
I mean, you got Lance Guest running down the beach for literally no reason. It's actually one of my favorite scenes. He's in mid-conversation with somebody, walking down the beach, stops talking, and then just runs.
He's like, where are you going?
I had fun. Just like you said, it was bouncing around my list, but kept going down just because I tried with not just as much fun, because I don't know how much of it was, oh, it's The Last Starfighter. And Michael Caine, like you said, just being a drunk mess just was hilarious to me. But, you know, it wasn't horrible. I rated it definitely higher than some that probably people would disagree with. You know, just the whole, you know, okay, I'm going to kill a brother and one of the initial brothers. And, you know, I need to go down to the finish him off in a tropical resort. You know, why not? There's no sharks down here. No, there is now, because I have to go after this family.
Hey, Jim, let me just say too, when you ranked this dead last, did you take into consideration that the shark set a trap for Sean in the beginning of the movie? It set a trap for him. Could you think about that for a second? Well, on that note, we will move on to our number 9 movie, which also disappoints me as well, because with 167 points is Jaws 3 3D, which I can't believe is number 9 on this list. It was actually ranked dead last only 2 times, so it didn't get ranked dead last a whole lot. Its lowest ranking that it got on the list was 3rd place. It did get ranked 3rd place twice. On the panel, there was one person that did rank it dead last. One of the 2 dead lasts was Jeremy, who ranked it in dead last. Jim actually gave it 9th place, which is also very low on the list, which 9th place is where it ended up on the ranking. Christy gave it, and me, both of us gave it the same exact spot. We both gave it 7th place, so a little bit lower, but not necessarily near the bottom. Jeremy, you've got this one at dead last, though, so obviously you have the most venom for this one. So how do you feel?
It drove me crazy. All the scenes with the 3D, I understand like the whole dumb part, and I enjoyed that part of part 4. But with the 3D, man, the stuff they chose that was obviously 3D shots, it just was, it hurt. And hey, man, it had Dennis Quaid in it, man. Enemy Mine. Breaking Away, but I didn't like any character in it, and yeah, it just felt like a bad SeaWorld commercial.
Yeah, same thing. Just you know, I remember going to see it in 3D and just watching a movie that's supposed to be in 3D when you're not watching it in 3D, and everything, all these attempts to be in 3D, and I just was like, I was starting to sort of lose my enthusiasm for the Jaws series when it got to 3. Although I like Dennis Quaid as much as the next guy, you know, I'll give it a few extra points for that, because, you know, that's all I can really say is just, you know, I was just sort of getting down to it and getting a little at that point desensitized to the killing, which would take me to the shark attacks, which would take me to the beginning. That's sort of how my ranking was how I was affected by all the shark attacks throughout all these, which one got to me most. So yeah, it was just kind of a goofy one to me.
I mean, it's really funny because it's so stupid. Well, because the lady, I think that weren't we supposed to care about her, but she was like terrible and trapped a shark and then let it die. I think it's a revenge story. And that's why I don't feel bad for the main lady, because like she did just trap the shark and then let it die, which was so sad. I don't know. It's just cheesy and it's fun. And Dennis Quaid is terrible. And what's the girl's name? The Howard the Duck girl?
Leah Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, like she's so cheap. I don't know. It's stupid and it's fun.
I've got this ranked as in 7th place as well too. I will say that that of the Jaws set, I think that it's, again, I think it's better made than Jaws 4. Definitely has better production values, but I think that it's a drier film. It's pretty dull. There is some cheese in it, but there's just not enough cheese to make it really over the top and silly. You've got some crazy bits, like obviously the shark bursting through the glass, which is one of the worst effects of all time. You have the insane ending with the teeth when the shark explodes and the teeth just kind of drift up.
Oh wait,
What's that?
I forgot about the drinking game.
Yes. What about the drinking game?
Where they just like lean into each other. Like I don't.
What?
I don't know.
That doesn't seem like a real drinking game. We just stand up and smack each other's hands against each other. That doesn't seem like something that. Come on, you didn't do that when you were young. Come on, everybody did that drinking game with you.
So, but no, if anybody knows what that is, please tell us in the comments below. I want to understand how you win or lose.
Yes. Have you ever played the game? Wait, what did they call it? They called it something now.
Hey, they're playing standoff.
I do want to know that as well too. If you've ever played Standoff or know anybody that ever played Standoff, or if Standoff is a real drinking game, please let us know. I will say that things were really, really tense between the next three movies for a very long period of time, and there at one point, just before I got my final ranking, there was actually a tie, and Christy was the one that gave me the final ranking, which actually broke the tie and swapped out one of the places of these movies. So that's how close a lot of this was. But at number 8 with 159 points is 47 Meters Down, which was actually ranked dead last 3 times, and its highest ranking that it got was 3rd place. It got 3rd place twice. On the panel right here, 2 out of the 3 people that ranked it dead last are me and Christy. We both ranked it dead last. Jim, you ranked it pretty low as well with 8th place, and Jeremy, you had it ranked the highest of the group of us, which was 5th place. So I actually want to ask you, what about this one was it that made you rank it a little higher?
Honestly, out of most of the movies, it's the one that it's up there with terrifying me the most. I felt, but being underneath trapped was just claustrophobic and awful to me. Just everything about it. There's a lot that I didn't like, and that's why it kept bouncing down the more I thought about it. Like Matthew Modine, I was like, oh, he's gonna be a cool character. And he did nothing. But yeah, for me, it was all about the atmosphere. And I know there's a lot of issues I actually have about the story, but for me, it's the one that made me feel the most. I felt kind of sick watching it.
Oh God, it's just so bad. The acting's terrible. And then there's like absolutely no character development. But she was trying to prove that she could be fun sometimes.
See, I can be fun.
I'm cool. I got in this cage in the bottom of the ocean. Nobody's gonna believe it, man. Nobody. Like, I don't know, but what happened? Like, but nothing. But she didn't accomplish anything to be like, no, I can take care of myself. I will be okay. Like nothing. Like nothing. It was just they got caught. They went down. Her sister died, and then they eventually got rescued. Like that was it. Like,
probably got back with her boyfriend too.
Probably.
That would have been the icing on the cake.
I'm really sorry that happened to you, but I didn't know you were so fun.
I'm kind of the story guy. I mean, I'm the continuity and the timeline guy. I pay attention to the story. And the fact of the matter is that, yes, you have basically 2 characters in this movie, and you have them trapped in a single spot. So you've got your whole your bottle episode, right? So you've got these 2 people, you're in a set place. You need to basically work on these characters and have them work through some stuff and have it be the whole point of the movie. And yes, the whole point of the movie was this girl was very reliant on other people, didn't really branch out and do crazy things for herself. So that seems to be what it's going to be. So then you have this big dramatic scenario where she has to save her sister and save herself, and she risks herself going up, and she almost gets eaten by sharks, and they bite her, and she defeats all of that and overcomes it. And therefore she actually does have character development, because in the beginning she's a wallflower, can't do things by herself, but now she's actually done all of this. But no, none of that was even real, so it basically invalidates the entire point of her character. She's still just a wallflower that doesn't do anything for herself, because people still just come in and rescue her. So now your entire story and your character has just been invalidated because you wanted a cool twist.
I actually liked the twist. It was one of the only sort of things that made me sort of appreciate it or enjoy it. There was just so many. I mean, the fact that she's never scuba dived before, and all of a sudden she's going down in a cage with a bunch of sketchy guys on this rickety boat with Matthew Modine. It's like, I know it's just, it's sort of one of these sort of quintessential sort of horror setups where you're like, what are you doing? But, you know, just because it's a newer movie and they did have some believable sort of cliffhanger nail biter moments is why I picked it higher than Jaws 3 and 4. It was a little more watchable to me, but still equally as annoying.
Matthew Modine, like, he's the only person that should be proud of himself for that movie, because he literally got a free trip to wherever that location was, and 80% of his job was ADR. So yeah. He's the only one that won. Good job, Matthew Modine.
Yeah, Modine.
Modine.
What's his name?
Matthew Modine.
Modine.
All right, on that note, we're going to move on to our number 7 movie, because only 1 point differentiates our number 8 and number 7 movie. These guys were locked very, very, very close quarters for a very long while. But at number 7 was The Reef with 158 points, which was ranked dead last 1 time and was ranked first 1 time. This movie actually was ranked in every single spot. It was ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It hit every single marker. So obviously, the people's decisions on it are very split. Our decisions are also somewhat split, although me, Christy, and Jeremy are not split because all 3 of us gave it 9th place. And Jim, we're going to have to talk about this. Because you gave it first place.
What?
Yes!
You ranked this higher than Jaws.
That's right.
I just want to Jim.
Jeremy, I need a t-shirt.
Jim, you ranked The Reef higher than Jaws.
What?
The Reef. Higher than Jaws.
I can explain.
You need to explain. Yeah. Because you ranked The Reef higher than Jaws.
First of all, let me start out by saying, and I'm not trying to let myself off the hook here, but Jaws is obviously the better movie. Jaws is the best movie out of all these movies. Yes. No question. But I was grading this sort of on my binging experience. And that was the first movie I watched, and I'd never seen it. So for some reason, this movie scared the crap out of me in its like sort of stillness and quietness. And the first shark movie I watched as part of this whole series, you know, and so that just sort of got me. And I just said, you know what, that was the one that affected me. And I had the most sort of tense experience out of all of them. And it just had that effect on me. So I gave it number 1.
Hey, real quick, which part scared the crap out of you? Was it when the guy put on the goggles and then looked under the water to look for the shark and he couldn't see it? Was that the part that scared you? Hey, really quick question. Which one of them scared you? Was it the first time he did it? The second time he did it? The third, with the fourth, maybe was it the 7th time he did that?
Every time I was terrified.
Maybe was it the 14th time that he put on the goggles and looked under the water? Which one? I'm gonna fight you on this one. You don't know anything about the characters.
Right.
You don't care about the characters. The only thing you know about the characters whatsoever is that these people are a couple. These people used to be a couple. And you only know it, like I didn't even know until my second watch. One of them is a brother and sister. But you only know that literally because the guy goes,
and you know my sister Kate.
You know nothing else about any of these people. There's no arc. There's no, this character has to achieve this in order to become this type of person. None of that. It's literally get them from point A to point B with as many tense scenes as you can get in between. And I will tell you that those scenes are tense. But they're monotonous. It was the same scenario over and over and over again, to the point that I just got like, okay, he's gonna look under the water.
I mean, I watched that whole thing, and when the ending was, oh, by the way, she was rescued and the other guy was never found. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? Wait, I just watched this whole thing and there's like no rescue or anything. She's just like, oh, she gets up on this little piece of land. Well, how'd they rescue her? How did they find her? How'd anything? There's like so many moments that just drove me absolutely up a wall. The whole guy they left behind, I know they were basing it very loosely on a real story, where that guy was never found, but to never mention or show him again, it was just like, okay.
I mean, I'm not gonna join the the gym beat down.
It's not beat down on my part.
No,
but I literally don't remember any of their names. I never knew who was who because there's just nothing stood out about them, so I couldn't even follow it. And it honestly was just really boring.
Jim, in the comments below, there are going to be people that are going to be agreeing with you. Maybe not that it's number one. Maybe not that it's better than Jaws, but there will be people that are agreeing with you.
I respect you, Jim, for even trying to put this out there.
We're thankful for the controversy.
I'm just trying to keep it interesting.
Right. And once again, just to reiterate, the controversy is that Jim ranked The Reef higher than Jaws.
What?
Moving on now to number 6. Getting up into a little bit higher. And again, very, very close in points, because I want to reiterate that 47 Meters Down had 159 points. The Reef had 158 points. And with 155 points, just a few points away, is Open Water, which was actually ranked lower than 47 Meters Down and The Reef until Christy gave in her list, which your list actually saved it and actually put it ahead of both of those movies. Open Water was ranked dead last 3 times, but its highest ranking that it got is 3rd place. On this panel, me and Jeremy had the lowest ranking, which was 6th place. Jim had it in 5th place. And Christy, you had it the highest, and you actually gave it its highest ranking with 3rd place. So obviously, you had a lot of love for Open Water.
I just had a lot of respect for the budget.
We should point out it was made for $100,000.
Yeah. So I mean, I just have a lot of respect for anybody that can do that and actually pull it off, especially with a complicated movie. I mean, it's shot in the water. There's sharks. I don't know. It was impressive. But, you know, at the beginning, it's hard to get through. You're like, what the hell am I even watching? Like anything like outside of the water is pretty bad. And, you know, the actors out of the water were terrible. But as soon as you put them in, they did a really good job. And they kept it interesting just watching 2 people floating around in open water.
Actually, it would have been much higher if it wasn't for the acting at the beginning. And I honestly feel the acting in the water was only good because they were actually scared. Because it's such a low budget and that their lives depended on this low budget. I was okay with it. You know, it felt tense, real and raw, but that whole beginning part, man, that really is what brought it down, besides the nude scene.
I remember when it came out and it sort of had that like Blair Witch thing going where it was kind of like, it was based on a true story and you're like, holy crap, that really happened. I've got to see this, you know? And they did do a really good job of keeping the attention and keeping you engaged and everything else. I sort of whatever they have between them out in the water in this like really ultimately dire situation and them just, you know, disappearing, is a little more compelling, I guess, but less action packed, I guess. So, but I did like it. It was good.
I enjoy this. I saw this in the theater actually, and I remember actually really enjoying it in the theater. I think that actually might have ranked it a little bit higher, but except for the fact that you're not getting much shark action. There's not a lot of shark. When you show me that poster, that poster's got a big old shark fin. It's like half the size of the poster. And then you give me the movie, and you give me like maybe 5 minutes of total shark. I think it's an enjoyable movie that kept me entertained for an hour and a half. But it managed to do it at a fraction of the cost than most of these other movies. But you're going to catch a really random cameo from Broken Lizard guy Steve Lemmy, who just shows up as one of the scuba divers.
Hey, you do the international distress signal.
Well, that'll take us up to number 5. We're getting up into the top half of the list now. We're in the upper portions of things. And number 5, man, do I not agree with number 5. Number 5 with 138 points is The Meg. How did it get this high? It was ranked dead last twice. I do want to point out that so far, every single movie has been ranked dead last at least one time. The highest ranking it received was second place, which it got 3 times. Of this panel, I think we were all a little bit more unanimous. Me, Jeremy, and Christy all ranked it in 8th place, and Jim, you ranked it slightly higher in 7th place.
It's just so bad because it wants to be every shark movie, and you can't. You just have to pick one. And I think they also want to be funny and campy, but then they're not. So it's like this weird in between, which is just awkwardness. Like all of the characters are so awkward with each other.
Yeah.
Nobody has any chemistry. I don't know what the individual people do. Like I do know Jason Statham's really good at I don't know what he's driving boats maybe, but then I don't know what the other people do.
And a lot of people's defense of this movie is that it's fun. And it's just so fun. But my problem is that it's not really that fun. Everything's like a little bit crazy, but not that crazy. It's like nothing goes the whole way with it. And they do this whole bit at the ending where the shark is attacking a beach scene. But instead, it's over in like 5 minutes. And like the most that happens is he tows one of the rafts around, and then he bites down on a guy in a big ball. That's it. I mean, it's a whole scene just wasted because they just didn't want to explore the different scenarios that setup gives you, and that's what I'm saying. It just doesn't. It never commits to anything.
This was the only movie where I actively rooted for the shark to eat and kill everyone. Everyone. I did not like one single character in the entire movie.
And he hardly eats anybody.
The only character I even slightly cared about was a billionaire. And that's only because of Rainn Wilson's performance. Just like everything about it just made me angry. And I like Jason Statham. I like him in action movies. And I even wanted him to die in this movie.
I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think the campiness and the ridiculousness, the caricatureness of all these actors and characters started to become really funny. So Kristen and I were actually laughing out loud at the stupidity quite often. The long stares between Jason and the female scientist. But it was really like over the top. All the characters were like a total joke. And again, missed opportunity with the beach in China. And I was like, how many people are in the water at the same time in China? Like, what the heck is going on there? I was thinking it was perfect. If they just, you're wondering why there's so many people in the water. And if he came in and just opened his mouth and scooped up 100 people, you'd be like, that's why there's so many people in the water. They're just waiting to get eaten by a shark.
A movie that did not fail at any of those things that we just mentioned is number 4, because it with 104 points is Deep Blue Sea, which had its lowest ranking of 9th place, which it did get ranked 9th place twice. Although this is the first movie that was not ranked dead last at all. Its highest ranking that it got was 2nd place, which it got 4 times. Jim, you actually had this ranked the lowest, which was 6th place. Jeremy, you gave it pretty high at 4th place. I gave it 3rd place. And Christy, you gave it 2nd place. Obviously, you love Deep Blue Sea.
I actually do love Deep Blue Sea. And I am like 100% shocked. Yeah, I enjoy everything about it. It knows what it is, and what they set out to make with this fun, unbelievable, stupid story. They did, and they did it well. And I don't know, it made me smile. It's still making me smile. I would watch it anytime it was on.
The Meg had a lot of comparisons to Jaws, and it was trying to be the next Jaws or modern Jaws. But I actually truly think that it was trying to be a modern Deep Blue Sea.
100%. I really feel like that whole opening with the elevator gag was like pointed to Deep Blue Sea.
One of the reasons why I actually appreciate it more so than some of the other ones is that it actually does do a good job with the characters. You've got a whole bunch of people that are under the water here, but they did a pretty good job of differentiating all of the characters and why they were there. You had a little bit of attachment to each one of them. So when a character died, you kind of like at least understood who they were and why they died. And that was one of the best parts about Deep Blue Sea is you never really knew who was gonna die.
I'll be honest, it was toward the big middle. Then when the lead actress who caused the whole thing to happen, when it seemed like there was going to be a redemption arc for her, I all of a sudden dropped down near the bottom. It pissed me off that much. I was like, she does not deserve redemption. And it shot right back up whenever she was killed.
We cannot forget the number one reason why it is such a good movie, and that is because it has the best song ever written specifically for a movie.
What is LL Cool J's hat like?
It might be like a shark fin.
It is.
You know, it's a good quintessential like 90s Bruckheimer action, like they hit all the right notes, you know, and you've got Samuel L. Jackson with his great speech, and then he gets chomped at right at the end of it. You know, he rallies the troops and then gets eaten. So that's all good stuff. I mean, LL Cool J at the end, you know, shooting, you know, the explosion, and so it's good. It is definitely good. I don't really have anything bad to say. It's just that I liked a few of them better.
You know, I think that when we're talking about unexpected character deaths in this movie, though, we're forgetting one really tragic character loss from this film, because, you know, there are quite a few sad moments in this, but I think we're not really truly taking the time to mourn the death of LL Cool J's bird. All right, so that brings us into the top three. Man, these next two are also very, very close. This was a very, very narrow call here. Only 2 points separating them. But at number 3, with 88 points, is Jaws 2, the sequel to the original. The lowest ranking that it got was 7th place. And the highest ranking that it got was 2nd place, which it got 6 times. On this panel, 2 of the people that ranked it in 2nd place were me and Jeremy. Jim, you actually ranked it in 3rd place, but Christy, you had it lower. You actually were the lowest of the 4 of us with 4th place. So what about Jaws 2 made you rank it a little bit lower on your scale? But it seems like you still dug it.
Still a good movie. It's just so unnecessary. Why would there be another like unbelievable, crazy air jaws shark coming to attack again, you know? Yeah, I mean, it's still fun, you know, which isn't, I originally had it ranked lower. So it did move up on my list after
Careful
working
consideration.
out that it was fun, that the deputy was funny. Because he like got like so lazy between 1 and 2. Like anytime they'd ask him to do anything, oh, why do I gotta do that? I'm gonna get bored. I don't want to be bored. Go and help us look for a dead body. Oh man.
Also was a perfect time capsule of the late 70s, I think. Just everything about it. Even the style of the pontoon boats they were using. The canvas in between. In my mind was like, why in God's earth would you know there's been sharks in this water before?
Yeah.
Why would you ride in this type of boat over any other type of boat? I enjoyed it. I had fun. It's didn't lose anything from my love of it back in the day.
This was another one where I'd seen this a long time ago, but completely blanked on it. So watching it again was almost like it was fresh. I feel like it was a kind of time capsule piece, like you were saying, Jeremy. Like we were having a lot of conversations about certain things. I mean, there's a scene where Brody walks out of his bathroom to go look at his kid, and he's got a cigarette in his mouth. Like, so you're in the bathroom taking a shower, and you put a cigarette in your mouth, and you're like walking down the hallway. You're like, oh, my kid's doing okay. Okay. I'm like, what a time to have a smoke, like it's just, there's stuff like that that's really hilarious. And yeah, the boats too were like, these boats are like paper boats that they're out there on the wide open ocean with sharks in the water. Nobody's got a life jacket on. And they're just out there in the middle of nowhere, like, and it's just all these sort of things where
little kids out there.
Yeah, exactly.
And they are all like, if you look, especially like at the scene, like when they're all getting into their boats and stuff, it's like each person's from a different movie.
Right.
Like, because like somebody's in like a sweater and pants, and then somebody's in a bathing suit. Some guy's like in like a button up and like a vest and like a cap. It's like, we're like.
Oh, and what I loved is that every single one of those kids felt like horror movie victims.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny because that's actually one of the things that I kind of really enjoy about the second one is the fact that you've basically taken the first movie and now you've kind of given it that whole like summer camp slasher spin to it, where it's just, hey, it's a bunch of teens on the water, they're getting bumped off one by one. But yeah, and I don't know, my other favorite part about it is the fact that they kind of had to distinguish the shark a little bit, so they gave it like the Phantom of the Opera look.
I don't know what you mean by. We're just talking about just to in summer camp.
Up, Siri. Yeah, so they actually took the time to have the shark get burned on half of its face so that it actually looks different. So it's like, oh, look, it's different.
Like a Jason Voorhees thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll take us up to number 2. Number 2. With an only 2-point difference between number 3 is The Shallows with 86 points, which I'm a little bit disappointed by this being second place. Its lowest ranking that it got was 8th place, which it was ranked 8th place twice, and its highest ranking that it got was 1st place. Actually, 2 people did rank it in 1st place. On the panel, Christy, you ranked it the lowest with 5th place. Me and Jim both ranked it in 4th place, and Jeremy, you had it ranked to the highest with 3rd place. Jeremy, what about this one stuck out to you as being that good?
Honestly, I just had a lot of fun with it. I thought the lead actress did a wonderful job at just feeling her terror and heart and just like isolation. It gave her a fair backstory, made you care about her enough. I just enjoyed it. And honestly, it kind of, when I stop and think about it, I have issues with one particular thing. Oh man, the end, the shark being impaled at the bottom of the sea. It almost made me rank it lower. But it still was one of the more fun watches for me, and especially because a lot of these were new to me for the first time.
That's what made me rank it low. We watched this whole thing, and then you seriously it was like a cartoon. It was like Roadrunner. Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna trick you into just driving straight down into the ground. Like, I don't. It's like that's it. Okay. That's what you went for. Okay. I mean, it looks really pretty. It's shot really well. I do think that Blake Lively did a good job. Because I mean, that's hard to carry a movie just on your own, I'm sure. And what was the motivation of the shark? Why was it sticking around? He just ate people, so he shouldn't be that hungry. And like I don't understand why like they have these like stalker sharks that just can't go and find other food.
Hey, I just ate this person, but I can go for seconds.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's my cheat day.
I like the cinematography, a lot of really good surf footage. I enjoyed that. I mean, I get you with the impaling part. That was kind of lame, but it was definitely like, and Blake Lively's nice to look at, so that made it a little more enjoyable. That was a good part of it. And yeah, I mean, except for just the ending and the dumb way that the shark died, I was pretty into it the whole movie. I thought it was pretty good. I remember when it came out, I never saw it, but I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, it's a really good trailer, and made me really want to see it. So I was glad this was on the list, so I could kind of circle back and go see this one.
The fact of the matter is I kind of like this movie. Like I want to like it more, because the movie actually does some really good things, but then it basically shoots itself in the foot by then doing something really stupid. I liked the backstory of it, and I liked the fact that they didn't need to really beat you over the head with the backstory. Sometimes they did get a little bit exposition-y, but I liked some of the little bit more subtle bits of her, wanting to continue on, obviously, because her mother did not. I liked a lot of that. I did think it was kind of weird that there was sort of there was definitely like a pro-woman, like, hey, we're women, we've got this power, and I'm not going to stop and do anything. And yet, at least a quarter of the movie is these long, leering shots of Blake Lively's body. It's like, here you go. It kind of, I feel like, counterbalances the message of the film a little bit, which is weird. Obviously, by the ending of the movie, whereas some movies would have had her come out of it still all looking glossy with like makeup done up, she looked like crap, which I liked the fact that they went that far with it. But I will say that one of the other things that really bothered me about it was that we talk about films and we talk about movies, and movies are a visual medium, right? Where you show me the stuff, and they did the thing, and it was something that always bothered me with the movie Gravity as well, is that you've got Blake Lively and you've got her there and you've got these scenes and you can convey what's going on silently, but then you have to have the character say all of the things out loud. For example, she's looking at the shark, she sets her timer, she times it, she looks down, she sees 30 seconds, and then they actually have her say
32 seconds from the whale to the rock.
We get it. You showed it to us, and we understand. But I felt as if the filmmakers weren't quite confident enough that the audience would understand it based upon when we showed it. I mean, it's the same thing like they showed the water like splashing up, and she's like,
and here comes the tide.
We know. We get it. And those scenes, that may be nitpicking, I get it. But, yeah, so you trust your visuals.
I feel like I have to say that this is something that bothers Josh so much in movies. That anytime I catch myself by myself saying something out loud, I like make a mental note and be like, I just did it. I should tell Josh.
All right, number one, the movie that I think we all knew was going to be number one. I had predicted that it would sweep the top spot and that everyone would rank it number one, but I was wrong. And with 27 points is, of course, Jaws, which was ranked number one 20 times out of 23. 3 people did not rank it as number one. The lowest ranking it got was third place, and it did get 2 second places as well. On this panel, me, Christy, and Jeremy were sensible and ranked it first, and Jim ranked it second place because he ranked The Reef higher than Jaws. I think there is no doubt that this is the number one movie on this list for me, at least. This is my favorite movie of all time. Jaws it's a great movie. It is basically an example of every single aspect of a movie just working. From the direction, the performances are great. The cinematography is brilliant. The effects, although are dated now, were extremely groundbreaking at the time and just mind-blowing. The music I mean, there's not that many scores that still stick out to the point that you can literally say two notes and people know what you're talking about. I still think that the shark makes for some of the scarier scenes. There is no scene in any movie that has traumatized me as much as the shark under the water swooping in on that fisherman in the pond. Plus the character work, and I feel like I've spent a lot of time on this list talking about arcs, and you had pretty distinct arcs throughout this movie. Brody definitely goes through a character arc. Quint goes through a character arc. Quint has probably one of the most interesting character arcs in the entire film. Even Hooper has his own little arc, and it's just great. I love everything, including the little details. One of my favorite little bits. It's just one of the most subtle little things is when the orca's first leaving, and you get that shot where it's actually through the jawbone of a shark that is hanging up in Quint's shop, and the boat is in the middle of it, and it's just like a great foreshadowing of this boat is going down. I feel like I'm gushing about it. Christy, how do you feel?
Everybody loves Jaws. It's so well done. The acting is so good. Even just Richard Dreyfuss's facial expressions when like crazy things are going on are just so good. When they're drinking and he's telling the story and he's like, everything's so good and it's funny, and it's that quintessential Spielberg where just like he nails like the family life and the chaoticness of everything going on, and just the stuff that he's proven time and time again to be so good at with making us believe and trust these characters to be who they are. Yeah, and it's just a great movie with great people in it, and great people making it, and it's great movie making.
Every single character works. Everyone feels real. Reactions feel real. Everything about Jaws just works for me. From how it looks, how it sounds, how all the characters feel real. I like them all, even the sleazy mayor who really just wants the tourist dollars to keep coming in. Everyone just felt legit.
Without question, it's the best movie that we're talking about on this whole list. But you also get, Richard Dreyfuss, and I always sort of notice this and talk about this when I'm talking with actor friends about like these really amazing actors at early stages in their career where they're just like jumping off the screen. And Richard Dreyfuss was just jumping off the screen in this movie. Like you just can't, you can't escape it. Like he's got this energy that is just unmistakable. And you can just tell by watching that this guy's going to go on to do so many great movies because he's such a good actor and he's just giving so much in this movie. And Roy Scheider was not as good as Richard Dreyfuss, but he was still so much better than he was in 2. In 1, those expressions and that terror and everything he was feeding that character was so good. So, I mean, just from an acting standpoint, it was really, really good. And it's funny because I just remember, and this may age me a little bit, but when this movie first came out, it came out on HBO, and I had a kid in my neighborhood that had HBO and his mom was still at work. So we all went over to the house and we all sat down, like 5 or 6 of us, and we watched Jaws. And the opening scene where the woman's out there swimming in the ocean all by herself, and then she starts getting dragged around in the water. And in that house at that moment, it was utter chaos. Every kid was flipping out. There were kids running around screaming. There were kids under couches. There were kids like curled up in a ball doing this. It was insanity. And you know how long that scene goes. It's like she's getting torn all over the place. And it was like the same thing was happening in the living room at that exact moment. And I just remember, I'll never forget that because it was just terrifying. And it was just one of those things where you're like, this is going to change the world for so many people.
Truly a great film, although apparently not as great as The Reef.
The Reef is so good. It's
Well, so there you have it. That's 10 movies that all feature sharks, and that were all fairly big releases. I think most of these played in the theater. Some of these hyped up more than others. But let's take a look at our ranking. And okay, there we go. I don't agree with about half of this, but I guess that is part of the fun of Dead Last, is that it is an aggregate. It is not my opinion. It is the combined opinion of 23 people. So yeah, definitely some things in here that I would have changed around. But overall, I'm happy that Jaws is number one. It deserves to be up there. So there you have it. So I want to know what you guys think, what your rankings would be. Please post those down below in the comments. I want to hear your comments about this, about maybe you want to agree with some of the things that we said. Maybe you want to defend Jaws 4. Maybe you want to agree that The Reef is the greatest shark movie of all time. Or maybe you want to make fun of Jim. Just no death threats, please. He doesn't need any more death threats. I'm sending him plenty. But I do want to thank my patrons who did send in their rankings. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I love getting the rankings when they come in. It's always really interesting to see, especially when they put their reasonings with it. It's always cool to see why people place the movies where they did. So thank you guys for participating. You can participate as well by going to patreon.com/movie timelines and becoming a patron. And every single month we do a different roster of movies. The patrons are currently working on the next 2 months of movies, because they usually post the lists well in advance. So that way, if people want to watch them, they have time to watch a bunch of movies. So you can do that as well on patreon.com. I appreciate it if you did. Leave those comments down below. Do the whole liking, subscribing, click the bell, do all that stuff. You know, if you actually leave comments, that YouTube then recommends my video to more people. So please do that. Leave some comments, because they like
and tell us what the drinking game is. Don't forget.
Yeah, don't forget to tell us about Standoff. But I also really want to thank my panel for coming on board and celebrating my birthday with me. Thank you guys for coming to the party.
Happy birthday, Josh.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. It's so nice to be 21 finally, and legally drink alcohol. I'm so excited for that. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool to go to a bar once bars are open. But thank you guys for coming on board. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys giving me your rankings and watching these movies. I think this was actually overall, this was a pretty good list to get. You know, I think that some of the lists that I have to give people that are not too happy about having to watch, but you guys made out. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you very shortly for more great shark goodness. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you. Dun.
Say hi, Stella.
Hi, Stella. Mommy get the you one.
Mommy has new.
I got a new lip gloss.